Marc Clarke, that's classic. I love it.
And good morning and welcome to the show. It's the Marc Clarke Show on a Wednesday already. Hump Day has arrived, and we have a special guest this morning. Dr. Leroy McKenzie joins us this morning. Welcome to the show, Doc. How you doing?
Hey, good morning, sir. How are you? Man, see, I done put my towel and everything. I'm thinking...
No, Doc, you're good. You're good. Only reason I don't have my shirt and tie on is because they were dirty. That's the That's the only reason.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate you having me on. It's great to be here with you.
So, Doc, welcome to the show. I think Bootsy Vegas is there. I think Bootsy, you there?
Yeah, but I don't know if it's something wrong with my camera or something. I don't know.
I don't know if there's something wrong with you or something wrong with me. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm in a relationship. Yeah, Bootsy, your camera's not. Maybe pop on and pop back on, Bootsy.
Yes, sir. Okay, no problem.
And you might be lucky and miss my long rant as I not only have Dr. McKenzie tell us about himself, but Doc, I just, you know how you things come to you. You know, your thoughts come to you, and I'm at the age where you got to write them down or say them or they go away.
I know, right?
And so,
for sure,
Dr. McKenzie, you know, it's Wealth Wednesday. Wealth Wednesday, yes, it's about that money. Let's go, Wealth. And I want to. I had a couple thoughts that I just wanted to throw out there, and Doc, you know, we can go from there, but are you okay, Doc? It looks like you're frozen. Are you frozen? Can you hear me?
Yeah, no, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Awesome.
Okay.
And so
yeah, go ahead.
So, Doc, I was saying, when you get to a certain age and you start to look at the system, my brother, right? Money, it's Wealth Wednesday, and money. When you talk about money in America, you said something, but then not just America, it's the world, right? Money in the world. Money makes the world go round, as they say, right? And so, Dr. McKenzie, right. I'm known for random thoughts, and hopefully when I do my random thoughts, you know, you can hang with me. If not, Doc, don't even worry about it. But so here are a couple thoughts I had about, what's up, cuz? I see my cousin checking in. Couple thoughts about money, and we're talking about wealth in America. So, you know, the fact that we're African American, we kind of like a lot of our pain, a lot of our conversations, a lot of our perspective comes from, you know, I mean, the descendants of enslaved Africans who were brought here for free labor, right? For free labor, right? And for whatever reason, we know the reason, America does not like to talk about real history because it's a bloody history. And most of those who hold the spoils of it, they know they owe. You know you owe, right? They don't, so they don't tell you the whole history. And we kind of like, we fight each other, Americans. We fight each other. We fight ourselves. And really, there's a whole history they don't talk about. And something else is funny that they don't talk about, not just the Africans, the enslaved Africans in that history, but of course, the Native Americans, you know, when it first started. So I think I lost Dr. McKenzie. You know, the Native Americans, they don't talk about what America did for labor when you talk about busting up unions and this and that. And so I'll wait till they come back, when they get back on. But yeah, I had this thought as I was getting ready for the show, because, you know, understanding that helps you understand a whole bunch of other things. What's up, Miranda? I see you. You know, Doc is back. What's up, Doc? Can you hear us? Like we're having Wi-Fi issues this morning, but it's okay.
Yeah,
We'll get over the hump.
I know, right?
So, Doc, I can hear you now, and I can see you now.
If you can hear me now.
There's a little delay, though.
Okay. Mm.
Okay, I think you're back.
But I can hear you.
Sandra's joining us.
I know, right?
Sandra introduced us. So, yeah, Doc, I was talking about the history, the bloody history of money in America, right? And how America doesn't really like to talk about the history because, you know, it's a system. They don't like, I think America doesn't like to talk about the history because if you talk about the history and everyone has the information, the real information, they fear that we will work together. As a democracy, we'll make certain demands that I think those in power aren't ready to give up. So that was that's the one part of the rant, Dr. McKenzie. The other part, though, what made me think about it was I was listening to Kathy Hughes, media mogul Kathy Hughes, and, you know, so we talk about the quiet storm, right? And, you know, Melvin Lindsay, who was the creator of the Quiet Storm. You know, there's this wonderful story. They tell a story. It's an amazing story about the Quiet Storm, Melvin Lindsay. Again, and of course, Melvin Lindsay, you know, will forever be the creator of the Quiet Storm, right? What they don't talk about, and I thought about it because it's so classic America, is it was a strike. Melvin Lindsay was a student. And WHUR, which is owned by Howard University, it was the jocks wanted to unionize. And so Melvin Lindsay was a student. And so he basically was a strike breaker. But again, he's just a student at the school. But the HUR would go on to be a union station and is to this day. But that part of the story doesn't get talked about. But that's America
not
too,
at all.
right, Dr. McKenzie? While African Americans, we struggle with a whole bunch of stuff, from being, you know, the former slaves who were free labor for 300, 400 years. Also, Dr. McKenzie, what is not talked about is the bloodshed, the violence that came with those who were trying to establish unions. And many of those, were white. They killed those guys like they were black guys. That doesn't get talked about, that bloody history. When you said you was trying to get a union popping, there was some deaths about to happen, right? And we also were a part of that too, because a lot of times they sent us in to be the strike breakers, right? And that also violence. So I say all that to say, Doc, as we set you up for Wealth Wednesday, you are an authorpreneur, you are a business consultant, you are a speaker, you're a doctor, you are business. And, you know, and one more thing, Dr. McKenzie, that I thought about that same thing about America, history, how we just get half the story, is recently you saw Warren Buffett say he basically, you know, when it comes to this crypto stuff, he wouldn't buy all of it for $25, right? Now, he says that, but Dr. McKenzie, he knows damn well this has created probably more millionaires, instant millionaires, than at any time in this country's history. So yeah, he's talking that talk, and he talks about he doesn't invest in technology because there's no, you know, I don't know the track record, but we all know, Dr. McKenzie, he's talking out the side of his neck, because as we speak, the metaverse is blowing up, and, you know, the device, the binoculars that people use, the Oculus that they use now, invented by Facebook, will soon be challenged by a version created by Apple. And as we all know how Apple do, when Apple hops into the metaverse game, it's on and popping for real. You know what I'm saying? And so it's almost like an Android phone before an iPhone. And so again, your man saying that the Bitcoin and blah blah blah, it's like, to me, it's a lie. It's like he's saying it for a reason. He's saying it because the traditional stock market is under fire, because young people are looking at it like, F that, why would I spend my time over here when I can make money over here? And I'm 21 years old, and that's the future. So anyway, I'm sorry, Doc. I say all that to set it up. Welcome to the show, Dr. McKenzie. This is Bootsy Vegas, my co-host. This is Dr. McKenzie. Doc, tell us about yourself as we head into Wealth Wednesday. Tell us who you are and what you do.
The short version is I am a Baltimorean, born and raised. I'm the president CEO of JNF Enterprises LLC. And what we basically do is we assist individuals and organizations to bring their vision to reality. And we do that through branding. We do it through marketing. We do it through books that we publish, in addition to just trying to disseminate knowledge, information, and resources out there to everyone so that we make people better. That's my ultimate assignment, is to make people better. And we do that by equipping them with the tools that they need as entrepreneurs to be able to do better, not just open the doors, but to keep the doors open. So that's the short version.
I love it. And so Dr. McKenzie Bootsy, in addition to being a media person, he has an amazing media program in Ward 7 and 8 in DC that's sending our brothers and sisters to college. Over 30 kids have been sent to college on this program. And so he said, so that service piece you said, when you said, keep the door open, is so important. Boots and I talk about this all the time. Right. And then that information, because there's so much information. I heard, Bootsy, I didn't tell you this. I ran into a brother. I met a dynamic guy at the gym the other day. And Dr. McKenzie, I'm just going to go ahead and say it. He's a former member of the round table in Baltimore. You know, the round table. What's it called? The Millionaire Round Table. It's called I'm talking about, Dr. McKenzie. It's an organization, Bootsy. It's an organization, Bootsy, where basically members have to, one of the parts of being a member, your business has to, generate over, millions of dollars to be a member of this organization.
So you must not be in that group, but go ahead, Bob. I
am not in that group. I'm with y'all. But the part about it, Bootsy, the part about it that was sad, he was back when the late, great Ray Haysbert, who was one of the creators of Park Sausage, Bootsy. Park Sausage is one of a black-owned sausage company. I know you remember the commercial? Yes, more Park Sausages, please. When he was there, I thought about you, Bootsy, if I'm honest. Part of an organization that has a mission, a stated mission, and a part of that mission, like you said, Dr. McKenzie, is not only the success in making money, but the keeping the door open, propping the door open, and creating opportunities for others is a part of a mission. But sadly, this person I was talking to, who was there when Ray Haysbert was there, he no longer is a part of it, because he said what he found was that door wasn't open. That in fact, it was an organization where everybody was just basically shedding people out so they can make the money. And that right there, Dr. McKenzie, is a big part of America, not just with business in general, right? The haves and the have-nots.
Yeah.
So, Dr. McKenzie, where are we? Give us an update on where we are with this Wealth Wednesday, but we're getting over COVID. A lot of folks took these PPP loans. Some of them put it towards their business. Some of them put it on vacation. The housing situation is interesting. The interest rates are creeping back up, though on one hand, the interest rates are creeping back up. On the other hand, they say that there's a housing shortage. It feels like there's just a big case of some people are balling right now and some people are suffering. Give us an update, Dr. McKenzie. Where are we in your take? Your take in 2022.
No, and I think you're actually right with that, Mark, because we're hopefully moving out of the pandemic. I think we're kind of, things have opened back up a lot more now. So people are moving again. People are starting to move again. People are starting to go into the physical brick and mortar stores, or kind of if you're in the speaker industry, people are traveling more and everything like that. And as a consequence, you have to be able to now we got to shift again. There was the shift going into the pandemic, but now there's this shift coming out of the pandemic. And that means in all aspects of our lives, whether it's our personal lives, with our families, with our, with our job situations and everything like that. And if you're an entrepreneur, even on that side as well, with your business, where is your business? Where is it now? Where do you see it, going forward in the rest of 2022, 23, 2023, 24? What are you, where do you see yourself? You have to be thinking about those things now. And you're right. You got the housing market, a lot of things going on with that, because you got a lot of people who moved they were able to move those loans, to the back end, so to speak, because banks were being lenient, banks were being, were working things out with people. And now, as we start to open more, people start to work more, that money or those payments, those bills are going to be coming due. So you're going to see a flood of, you might see a flood of people, homes being foreclosed on. You'll see a lot of, even with the rental, and even in the rental aspect of businesses, or rental aspect of your apartments or anything like that, where those evictions that have been sitting in the courts will now start to come due. So there are a lot of things that are going to be moving as we get further, further and further away, hopefully, from the pandemic. I don't know if we'll ever be away from it, but as it starts to kind of go down, and everything like that. So it can be tricky. And like you said, there is this kind of separation of the haves and the have-nots. There have been some people who have done very well, during the pandemic, as entrepreneurs, as business owners, and even as people in certain industries. But there have been some that are still hurting, and are still trying to figure things out, what they're doing. And even the job market, when you look at the job market itself, a lot of people are choosing not to, this is the crazy thing, I don't know how they're doing it, they're choosing not to go back to those jobs. They're like, nah, that's not good enough anymore. I want this, I want that. If you're not going to pay me this, you're not going to pay me that, I'm not going back to that job. So I think depending on the individual, I think it can look very good, if you have a certain skill set, if you've gained a skill set over this pandemic. I think you can do very well for yourself. You can actually do well, and you can keep moving forward and everything like that. But if you haven't adjusted and have gotten and gained a new skill set, as you talked about the metaverse and those things that are shifting into this 21st century way of doing things, you either, I say this, you either get on board or you get left behind, one of the two. So.
And it's interesting, Dr. McKenzie. I think, and I had to learn, and I'm learning the hard way, and a lot of times, when you walk away from a job, when you walk away from income, right, there's a couple things. I've lived a life where I was able to do something I love. So I understand the power of that. I saw my mom work at a job she hated. She worked Social Security. She hated it. She got demoted. She got, you know how they do you. They take you through the system. And so the blessing for me in that was I saw the importance of pursuing your passion. So I have pursued my passion. But this is what I've learned when you step out there, like, when people finally get, like you said, I think the reality of life and death for some people, financially and regular, made people look reassess their life and say, well, damn it, I'm sick of this job, right? But if you don't have those finances together, that's a big thing. And here's the other part, the main part. And Bootsy, I want to say, that head together, an entrepreneurial mind, that's a whole different animal, baby. That ain't it's Monday, let me go on to this job and coast and still get that check every 2 weeks. No, it's every day. What am I going to do? It's like being on Survivor and you don't have any food and you got to go out and kill an animal every day, right? That's the part I think people miss, because after that unemployment runs out, and now, mortgage still due, car notes still due, tuition still due, babysitting still due, all that. Yeah, I walked away from my job. It hit you in the head, and now you're depressed. So it's like I'm down with. I think it's definitely a growth when you realize your value, but it's also a learning curve when you have to go out there and kill it and eat it, which I'm learning. I'm learning every day. You know, look at people who are in the same space I'm in. Everybody has a podcast. Everybody has a blah, blah, blah. Now, I have 30 plus years of media experience. I have a name, especially in Baltimore, where everybody knows Marc Clarke. You know, everybody knows Allison Seymour and DMV. But it's still challenging to get sponsors. So imagine when you don't have that and you're walking into a place and you say, hi, sir, I'm Mr. So-and-so, and I have this podcast. How many followers you got? Oh, about 100. Okay. You know what I mean? So it's like it's a mindset that I think the good news is we all need to be there in a capitalistic place. We all need to be having our shingle out there, selling our services, selling our talents. But I think it's going to be a harsh awakening for those who tapped out. Because I have run out. I have been on unemployment before. When it runs out, it's not pretty. You know, it's not pretty because you're faced with the reality of, like you said, what's my real skill set that I could go do?
Right.
I'm mean with a lawnmower. Bootsy, go ahead.
No, it's interesting. First of all, that's some amazing insight, Doc. You know, I'm loving the fact of how you're speaking and predicting the future. But just as a doctor, somebody that's doing, you know, that has these vast talents, I would love to know if you can share some of the principles that you live by and by you work by. I think a lot of times, you know, people sometimes have mission statements or whatever, but what are some of the principles that you think have led you to this path that has sustained you all these years?
Well, my first principle is God first. That just he is first and foremost in my life, and I conduct my business in that way.
Hey, Doc, I hate to cut you off. Trust me and Mark learned that lesson last night. There's a story right now that if I was to tell people what happened, nobody would believe me and Mark would God intervene yesterday. So just know that I know sometimes people may not understand that God first or how God works or his timetable, but one day soon I have to tell this story to my bosses and to a young child, and I can already envision that nobody is going to believe me, but that even if Marc Clarke and Allison told them how God literally intervened in the situation, nobody's going to believe them. So trust me, you know what I mean? I understands that God first premise. I do. Please continue with your amazing principles. God first, and then number 2 is what?
Yeah, absolutely. So God first, and then my honestly, my family. My family is important to me. So the things that I do, I make sure that I am a representation of my family and who I am, because everything is about my name, is about them. That's my mother, my father, my sisters, all of them. I am when people see me, they see them. You know, when it comes to those things. So my family comes second. But then third, when it comes to my business, it's these 3 things. It's the core of everything that I do, and it's my brand is to enlighten, empower, and to impact. That's to teach people something, to equip people with something, and then to impact them to want to do something. Everything that I do, everything that JNF Enterprises is about has to have those core 3 things. Everything. If it doesn't have those 3 core things, if it can't teach you something, if it can't equip you with something, and it doesn't impact you to want to do something, then I don't want to have anything to do with it, and I don't want my company to have anything to do with it, because that's what I want people to think about when they think about me or they think about my company and everything that we do and that we do. So I use those, those principles, and then I just treat people honestly. I treat people how I want to be treated. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be open. I'm going to be, I'm going to conduct business with integrity. So there might be some things that I say that you don't like, but at least you know that I'm being honest, and I'm not going to do it maliciously or anything like that. But I'm going to let you know, hey, no, that idea right there, no, absolutely, no. Let's try it this way. I think we can do this, that, and the other. So, it's that, to me, it's about being honest. It's about having integrity, and it's about how you conduct business, do business, and just being prepared. Man, I am a stickler for being prepared for whatever it is that I do. Yeah, because I wrote down in my post this morning. It's a motivational post that I do in the mornings, but it was about fighting for your business today. What are you doing to fight for your business today? How do you fight for your business? You fight for your business by being prepared, by analyzing, and then by executing. You prepare by knowing what it is that you want to do, sitting down and thinking about it. What is it that you want to do? What's your vision? Analyzing it, which is, hey, do I have a plan in place? All right, I'm talking about doing something. What plan do I have in order to be able to get it done? And then the third part of that is just execute. So just conducting, those are the principles that I try and conduct myself by when it comes to me, my personal life, and in business.
Amazing. I would love to know then, Doc, because I mean, just that whole phrase of those three things, that those principles are amazing. And I think as small as it may sound to the average person, when you focus on the small things, big things kind of like materialize. Yep.
Exactly.
I would love to know, just somebody as a doctor who has navigated all this stuff or whatever, what is the greatest piece of advice someone has ever given you? I mean, obviously through all these realms, these relationships we build, I would love to know, what is the greatest piece of advice that somebody has given you that you're still holding on to?
Well, I hold on to this because this was back maybe even 20 years or so ago. I was working for a gentleman, and he was actually younger than me and was an entrepreneur, but he had a acquisitions firm. He was an attorney, but he had an acquisitions firm. He dealt with acquisitions of businesses and stuff like that. So, and I used to always pick his brain. And he had the book by Reginald F. Lewis, and if you're from Baltimore, you know Reginald F. Lewis, and you should know who he is if you're an entrepreneur.
If you're from DC, hold on. If you're from DC, you should know who Reginald F. Lewis is. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But he had the book, Why Should White Men Have All the Fun, of course. So I'm trying to think if that was the first time that I saw the book, but I recalled it before then, but I actually wound up picking up the book, reading it, and then he and I just had conversations. And I would see how he conducted himself in business deals and stuff like that. And I'm asking him questions, and he always taught me in business, when you have a collaboration, partnership, or anything that you do, you want to make sure that that everyone comes to the table with something. You want to make sure, he said, because if they don't have a vested interest in what it is that they're doing, he said, they'll leave you high and dry. He said they won't care about it, because they have nothing to lose. They have nothing to lose in it. And that has stuck with me forever. So I'm always thinking about, somebody bringing something to the table, and even me, I charge myself. What do I bring to the table when it comes to something? So that's the bit of advice that has always stayed with me.
Amazing. And it's interesting because these small jewels can lead you to so many big questions. Like sometimes the phrases don't have to be this insightful or this articulated intellectual, but if they're core principles, they'll carry you a long way. The greatest core value that I live with, that sticks with me, I have two. Maurice White from Earth, Wind & Fire told me two things. He told me this. He said, evolution is undefeated. And he said, good is the enemy of great. And I've always stuck by that. Like I remember, good is the enemy of great, and evolution is undefeated. He said, when things start to evolve, you better do your damnness to make sure you're in front of it.
Yeah.
I don't know if you guys had a chance to see the Magic Johnson documentary.
Yeah,
it's out already. I haven't seen it yet.
It's out. I watched it.
You guys
Did you see it, Mark?
Yeah, we finished it yesterday, and me and Allison, after we finished it, we were in tears.
Yeah.
Because a couple things, and it's funny because it's 4 parts, Bootsy, and so it's so interesting. I think it's a great case study of a lot of what Dr. McKenzie's talking about from a standpoint of understanding who Magic Johnson is, and I think that part, his compared to Jordan's is different in that Jordan's was kind of on the surface of who he was as a bull and just winning championships. Magic Johnson's is like Magic Johnson, the man, right? And so there's a point, Bootsy, where the first kind of aha, Dr. McKenzie, I had was when Magic Johnson's friendship with Isaiah Thomas, it kind of was over because of competition. Because at the end of the day, magic was all about winning. Okay, so they worked out together. Isaiah, who's a little younger, he started to come on. He trained in the summers together, and then when he became a real foe, a real competitor, somebody that he's going up against, he could not process being your friend and winning. And basically he took it seriously. So that was the first. So, and I think early on, Dr. McKenzie, that's still the Magic basketball player person, but it was great insight into a winner, right? But like you said, those things you were talking about, he had his principles, he had a system, he had a way, all those things. It wasn't just, and I think a lot of times when we look at famous people, we kind of do that. Oh, we don't see all the work that's put in. We don't even see the mentality that's put in. And so then when they shifted to business, Bootsy, he took that same hardest worker in the gym, super competitive, to business. He was surrounded by great business people. So he did what we're supposed to do, right, Dr. McKenzie? He reached out to them. I don't know anything about this. Who do I reach out to? I happen to be next to super powerful people who understand this thing. And that same intensity he had with sports and learning how to be a winner, he used that in business. And then the last part he did, Bootsy, that I think made me and Allison cry, was it's one thing to have success. It's one thing to make a lot of money. It's one thing to help others. But he changed a whole community and communities by providing jobs, providing opportunities, he had a Black company, and this is something that it's not some random, he did a little bit. No, it's a whole movement, and by showing the world the value of us as consumers, but also showing the world that we are valuable people. And still, and to this day, he's doing that. And so he has that legacy. I think me and Allison were probably emotional because all of us want to do that, but very few of us do. Bootsy, you're sitting here, Dr. McKenzie, he's sitting here having sent and been responsible for sending over 30 kids. And by the time this is over, it'll be 100 or thousands. And I think that part of it, that's what life is all about. And so, Dr. McKenzie, in the COVID, you were in the COVID and now after COVID, what were people looking for when they were asking you to work with them or hiring you? What were they looking for during COVID, and now what are they looking for?
Well, I think during and before COVID, people were looking to be able to navigate into business. They're having their own business. And this is what I found. My intention was when I started my business and I went out there, what I found was there were all these books and everything out there about how to start a business, but there wasn't anything out there to show you how to keep your business going. So that was my core. That was what I found. I'm like, look, I don't want people to have to hit their head up against the wall, and things that when I did this, my purpose was to try and keep them from having to do that. Now, there's certain things we got to go through. There's some things you just aren't going to be able to avoid. So in seeing that, I wanted to be able to show them how to navigate through those things. Just as there were people in my space that I tried to have in my circle that helped me to be able to do that, to be able to navigate as I got more into business and everything like that. So that's what I did. So they were looking to be able to navigate, to be able to get assistance in how to start a business, how to grow it, how to put those processes and systems in place so that they can be successful. And that's what I did. That's what they were asking for. Now, as we got into the pandemic, people needed to understand how to shift. They were like, well, what do I do? I can't talk to somebody. I can't go physically and talk to somebody.
Can I ask you this question, then? So what has the biggest shift been in the midst of the pandemic? Because I think people do understand what you mean about the shift, but from your perspective, what has been the biggest shift in starting a business in the midst of a pandemic?
The biggest shift, honestly, was going from a brick and mortar to having to do things digitally, virtually, like we're doing right now. You take not even 5-10 years ago, let's say 10 years ago, more so 10-15 years ago, this wasn't something that was readily done, you know, and those of us who were already doing this understood it, because we saw where technology was going. So we were already prepared for that shift. But you had some folks that were just totally not prepared from a digital standpoint, from a technological standpoint, as to what they needed to do. So they had to gain a skill set. That skill set was learning how to use Zoom, how to use StreamYard. What's a StreamYard? You know, people didn't understand that. How do I use this thing? What is, you know? So that was the biggest shift that I think people had to get going during the pandemic, because you had to become adjusted of doing business from a virtual standpoint. And if you weren't ready for that, you didn't quite understand it. And there were some businesses, unfortunately, that weren't ready for it, that didn't understand it. So they happened to fall behind the bell curve. They happened to have to close down because they weren't ready. You know, and there were some that were able to kind of navigate through it and adjust in it, because they were able to still kind of find their way, knew what they needed to gain and all of those things, and be able to move forward for it. So that was the biggest thing.
Dr. McKenzie, something that I'm learning that I think, like you say, this was the pandemic was a great opportunity. It was a great learning lesson. So like you said earlier, what are you doing every day? Every day, if you're asking yourself about your company, your business, yourself, right? So pandemic hits. The funny part is, let's say Bootsy, I sell food, right? I sell food, and many people didn't have brick and mortars, and some did. But the problem was that, like Dr. McKenzie says, if you're thinking about when that hit and you're asking yourself, you're pounding your head against the wall every day, how am I going to survive this? How am I going to survive this? How am I going to survive this? So let's say you miss Tina and you sell lunches at different places, right? This actually is going to be a boom for you, right? You don't have the cost of a brick and mortar, and you make it out of your kitchen. Now you're like, you need to ask somebody, or you need to be looking into, okay, what do I need to do? Well, you probably need to get the message out that you deliver on social media, right? And I'm that person,
man, speak on it,
or pivoted. And you know what company did it that I hadn't thought about was that did it well was Outback. Outback came up. I know why, as a fat person, it's because you get tired of wings and fries. You want a little bit more. Some people want some steaks. You want whatever. But a lot of those restaurants that did steaks and did more substantial food, they didn't do well, did they, Doc? Because they didn't think about it. They were almost like they kept looking at their brick and mortar, going like, "Oh my God, we're gonna." Versus, okay, let's get our messaging out. Let them know we deliver. Let them know they can get a blooming onion, they can get a steak, they can get salmon, blah 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 blah, and they have success. So it just
Mark and Mark, it's so interesting you saying this, right? I just was alerted to this. The number one new business in the district in the DMV, which is DC, PG County, the number one service going on is weed delivery. I did not a weed dispensary. No, it's like a boom where they cannot accommodate. So everybody do know that I do juicing or whatever. So I go to a juice bar called South Block. On the other side of South Block, there is a food weed dispensary, and all day they're just funneling out. So when I go to work, I drop my son off. I go. When I come back, they're still delivering. It's so interesting about that delivery thing that you're talking about, and also with Doc talking about how you had to adjust in the midst of the pandemic. And I don't know if people realize for the first time ever, we need to look at delivery services differently now as well, because it's not like Domino's pizza delivery now. Like, delivery is a boom, but the number one new job in the DMV area is weed dispensary deliveries right now.
Wow. Bootsy, you just know that by observing. Very good, Bootsy, by observing. Observation.
I don't smoke, and everybody knows me. I do not smoke, but go ahead.
But here's the thing, too. I'll add this to what you were saying about the word delivery. And that wasn't just the food service industry. If you want to look at the church had to figure out a new way to, or an adjusted way to deliver the word. They did. A lot of churches were just brick and mortar, as you were just talking about, Mark. They were just brick and mortar. Come in, they had no kind of technology that was going on or anything like that. But they had to adjust. How did they adjust? They had to now be able to do the messaging virtually. So how do I do that? If I'm this older church that doesn't really know a lot about technology and how to be able to do that, I now have to have somebody come in, teach me how to be able to do it, or show me how to be able to do it, and to be able to still keep connected to my members, to my congregation. How do I do that? So that was a delivery as well. How do I now deliver in a different form? Because you still had it, but how do I deliver it? So that was the shift that a lot of businesses, organizations, churches had to be able to make and adjust to.
I never thought of that.
I
never thought of that.
The crazy part about this like you say, this kind of the screening and this kind of the way the world is. So I started reinventing Marc Clarke during the pandemic, so I come on every day. I'm on the treadmill with a message, and the reinventing Marc Clarke. What I thought was interesting was how it could be intimate. It could be intimate. You would think you'd have to be in the room with somebody, but I have a whole group of people that I've never met in person, but we've cried together, we've laughed together, we celebrated together, and I look at my reinventing my crew like they're my friends, just like the friends that I know physically. It's like it's interesting. I think I didn't think that could be possible, and I bet a lot of, like you said, a lot of churches, a lot of different counselors, speakers. Look at speakers. Yep. Doc, you're a speaker. At first, it's kind of like virtual, but now virtual speakers, they're getting paid. They're getting paid like they got paid in a lot of ways. You have more access in some cases because you don't have to fly people in.
But also. Right. But also to add on, because Doc said this earlier, is the fact that adjusting to the virtual world and what you got to do, you also got to learn how to promote and market on Zooms in these virtual worlds as well. You have to learn how to sell whatever it is your product is, even if it's not even a delivery service, but a motivational speaker service. Like the process of learning how to promote and market on a Zoom is a whole nother skill as well. And these are all the things that we had to adjust to that most people never thought of, because even the premise of what you're saying, Doc, from church, you know what I mean? How you had to give the service and the business of serving church is a whole different thing. And these are discussions that I do think need to be had and some intake on a route to figuring that part out, because as you just said, it's not going away. One of the biggest issues I have right now is convincing my bosses that the virtual world is here to stay. We will forever live in this space.
Now, guys, I need to interrupt just quickly. We have on the hopping in one of our superstars. She's responsible, Doc, for our theme song, and she's got a crazy day today. It's going down. If you want to be a superstar like Shannon Ramsey,
man,
here's your chance. So, Shannon, what's going on today at 3:00?
Man, it's going down in the DMs. I don't know. Today at 3:00, I am shooting my very first music video for my new project, Manifest.
Let's go, Shannon.
I'm so
it's
excited.
Go time, Shannon.
We dropped the single Faith, and God has been so faithful to us. Look at my phone dropping.
Because God is not faithful to your Wi-Fi.
He's been so faithful to us. And so today we're going to be shooting the music video. If anybody wants to come and join us, we will be at the Putty Hill Skateland in Putty Hill, Maryland, or Baltimore, Maryland. It's all the same. And yeah, we'll
you gonna
be there.
Skating, Shannon? You gonna be skating, Shannon?
Listen,
with a swimsuit on.
Listen, not today. That's vacation. That's
I ain't want
only
to say
vacation
that,
wear. So look. So today, yes, I'm gonna have my skates on. You know, I got skates on in the cover because we manifested this whole thing. And again, when I manifested this was when I was a little girl, and we used to put on our skates and we used to skate through 27th and Greenmount, Baltimore, Maryland, envisioning that we were in videos, writing songs. And so this is a full circle moment for me. It's a dream come true. And I'm just grateful that, you know, God allowed me to do this.
Well, we're so proud of you. We're proud of you, Shannon. And again, it's a good. What's the skating rink again?
It's Putty Hill Skate Land.
Okay.
It's in Baltimore, Maryland. And forgive me, I'm driving, so I have to be a responsible driver. So I can't look at the address.
Yes,
right now.
you do.
And so what time, Shannon, what should they wear? What time should they report? And do they need to bring anything?
They should be camera cute. I say come camera cute.
I love your accent, Shannon. I just love your Baltimore accent. I can't get enough of your Baltimore accent. Man.
Baltimore all day. But I'm really excited. So my Baltimore accent comes out when I'm excited and after 9 p.m.
Okay.
So
say it again. Camera cute.
Camera cute. And yeah, all positive vibes though. So, you know, if you have a t-shirt that has something inspirational on it or a positive phrase or something like that, please wear it. But it's all positive vibes. Just come cute, camera ready, and we're just gonna have fun. You know what I mean? We're shooting a video, so you know it's it's not a party, but we're gonna have a good time.
Shannon, we love you, and we'll be there.
Love you, Shannon.
I'm trying to get there, Shannon. The youngest has her driver's test today, so that threw a wrench into it. I was like, "What today at 3, 4?" So anyway, I'll be there in spirit if I'm not there, but if I can possibly make it, I'll make it.
Please do. It's okay if people come, you know, a little late. It's fine. You know, I got my godfather calling me out of the blue. Hey, I'm bringing all my motorcycle buddies up there today. So I was like, okay, well, we can take it back like the old days and get a little motorcycle shoot. It's fine. So yeah, if you can come, we'll be there till probably about 9 o'clock until we have the venue for us. So it's gonna be a good day.
Congratulations. Congratulations, baby.
Thank you so much. Good morning, Dr. McKenzie. I've been listening to you, and you are an amazing person. Please keep up your great work, and God bless you, sir.
Oh, thank you. But you keep doing what you're doing too. That sounds awesome, though. And I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna touch a lot of people with what you just described, and taking them back, because you're gonna bring those memories to them with that. So I love it. I love that. I love your idea. I love your concept and what you're doing. That sounds phenomenal.
Absolutely. I just want to be the person that I kind of wish I had when I was younger. You know what I mean? I want to be that person for somebody that's watching me. You know, I wish I had somebody to tell me that, you know, your dreams don't just have to stay in your head. You know what I mean? So,
Amen.
Wow.
So, you know, this is just a form of manifestation. My daughter is soon to be 4 years old. And so I want her to go far beyond me. She told me last night, she said, Mommy, you are just the best. And I was like, well, you're better than me. So, you know, I'm doing this for her. I'm doing this for my sons. I'm doing this for the younger people that just want to do something different and see something different in their environment. So I'm excited and I'm honored to be that vessel.
Come on now, give a word.
Come on now. Come on now. Hold on, Shannon. Before you go, I'm sorry. Now go ahead. Okay.
No, just real quick, Shannon. I'm gonna tell you, you're gonna hear that again. Your dream should not just stay in your head. First time I'm saying you said it, and after that, I'll put it out there.
All right
that
now,
is awesome.
Doc. All right, Doc. Now make sure you give me my credit now.
Exactly. I love that. I absolutely love that.
Shannon,
yes,
before you go,
yes, sir.
The DC native guy in me has one request before you go. Can you just say cute 5 times in a row before you leave, please?
You know what? Every time I come in contact with PG and DC, my PG and DC brothers and sisters, they always
and we love you, Shannon.
And we love you, Shannon. Cute, red. You know, we don't say red. We say red. We don't say orange. We say orange. It's fine.
Shannon, don't
You gotta
forget
love
Doug.
us.
Don't forget
well,
Doug.
Doug only comes out after 9. We're gonna hold off on Doug today. Today it's gonna be Dog. Once we finish the shoot, then it'll be Doug. Unless we're talking about Dougie Fresh, then we're just gonna stick with Dog today.
And Shannon's gonna be on to debut the video on the show. And Shannon, I might I will have another platform to have you on. That'll be done by the time the video's done. So, amen. So we'll see you soon, love.
Well, you know I'm here. I appreciate you, Mark. I appreciate you, Bootsy. Thank you guys so much for just believing in me. And I just want to say this before I go. People that genuinely want to help you, for anybody listening, they will just help you.
Mm-hmm.
They will just help you. Mark has just helped me. He's just believed. He's felt the spirit and the connection in the music and in just us meeting. And when people genuinely want to see you rise, they will just help you. They won't send you through 10,000 hoops, make up all kinds of stories, tell you, give you a lot of lip service. They will just help you, even if it's just a prayer. But guess what? Mark has gone far beyond that. And so I really, really just want to thank you for just putting me on your platform and just, becoming family. And the same to you, Bootsy. I really do appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
Because them late night, hey, Shannon, because them late night text messages we've been, be saying, only homies do that.
Listen, what I send you to come out to the video. I said, Bootsy gonna kill me for sending him an invite after midnight. But you know what? Being an independent artist, being my own boss, some late hours. Right. You got to put them in, and I apologize to anybody who got. No,
you ain't got to apologize to me. You ain't got to apologize to me. But please, Shannon, before you go, let me say this. I don't care what nobody else tell you. Do not give up on that song. Right. That song is a hit. I don't care what nobody try to convince you. That song is a hit. We don't know when it's going to pop. We don't know how long it's going to take. That song is going to pop. Please trust me on that one.
Bootsy, you're gonna go down in history for saying it first.
Well, all right.
We on the same page, and y'all make sure y'all get Doc that single. It's Faith, Shannon Ramsey Music. Just for anybody listening, Dr. McKenzie is. I'm on Apple Music. I'm on Google. I'm on Tidal. I'm all on all digital platforms. So, you guys, please feel free to download the single. It's a positive message, but it's a good vibe. It's a good vibe, for sure.
Mm-hmm. Shannon, be good. Be safe, honey.
I will. I love you guys.
Love you too. Cute.
Shannon Ramsey. Dr. McKenzie, what Shannon just said. Now, look.
I wrote it down, Mark. Look. Mark, I just wrote it down.
Now, Doc,
Shannon said.
Now, and Bootsy, now I don't want nobody to be offended. B. Lawrence. I will. I'll tell you. B. Lawrence, I'll tell you how to book Shannon. But I will just say this: for whatever reason, Bootsy, what Shannon just said, I inquired about the situation in Baltimore, Bootsy. And Baltimore compared to DC. Dr. McKenzie, I'm not trying, Now, I live basically in Silver Spring. I lived in Maryland. I never lived in Baltimore, but I have to say Baltimore has always adopted me, I'm pretty much a Baltimorean, pretty much. And without fail, Bootsy, and I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, Doc. DC, even though I'm Allison Seymour's husband, DC is a tough nut to crack. It seems like what Shannon said. People, you got to go over here. You got to go over there. You got to talk to so-and-so. You got to go to this room. You got to know this clique. You got to go over here. It's like, it's always, and that's when I wanted to go party. I mean, it's always very complex to wrap my mind around. Whereas Baltimore, Doc, I was up for this. This situation. I happen to know some people who work there. I reached out to the person's husband, who I also know, And Bootsy, don't you know, not only did he pass the message, the next day, all those who knew me got on the phone. And you know what I mean? Like, just like this, Dr. McKenzie, you know, that's Baltimore for me. You know what I mean? They're on the phone, like Shannon said, it ain't complex.
Right.
So-and-so makes a decision. I'm going to talk to this person. I'm going to talk to that person. It was done. Here's my number. And the fact that the husband, it wasn't, you know how you talk, sometimes you talk to the husband or wife and the message gets lost on it the next day. And I was just thinking, Dr. McKenzie, this is what we're talking. We're talking about Wealth Wednesday. But at the end of the day, from the Magic Johnson thing we talked about to Shannon, to you, who again, Sandra, I say, I need some guests, whatever. Sandra Pearsall sends me 4 or 5 people. This brother right here is amazing. Get him on the show. I hit you. You hit me back. You on the show. It ain't that hard, right? But it's I guess I'm saying, Bootsy, all that. It's relationships. It's relationships. And that's what we want to do on this show. And we have done so far. Me and Bootsy are relationship guys. We're connecting guys. We're the kind of guys, if you say blah, 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 we're going to try to help. Now, am I raggedy on my phone returns? Yes. Am I raggedy? Do things fall through the crack? Yes. But you know my intention, it ain't, because I don't, it shouldn't be that hard. If you know so-and-so, you know, da-da-da. And so, Dr. McKenzie, it seems like in some ways, the social media piece is a form of that, because it almost is like, you know, word of mouth has always been positive, but it seems like now with social media, it's almost a form of word of mouth, right? So you don't almost have to call somebody. You could just be like, hey, Dr. McKenzie, I saw you on the show, and you see the message and da-da-da. Is that turned into like something like that for social media in some ways, if you use it that way?
I think it is being used that way. And even when it comes to, and you could probably speak more to this on the media aspect, because a lot of media outlets, when they're looking for stories now, all they're doing, they're going on to social media to find certain stories or to find certain people, or they say, I saw so-and-so. I was watching it was MSNBC or one of they got a story because somebody sent them an email of a clip of it, you know, of something that they thought was relevant and everything like that. So yeah, it has become a piece of being able to do that. I mean, and it is a resource. And just to add to what you were saying, Mark, about resources and relationships, here's another documentary. I don't know if you all have watched it or not, called The Black Godfather, about Clarence Avon. If you are an entrepreneur, that is that you've got to watch that. But one of the things that he says in that documentary is relationships are resources. When he was going through his struggle, he was going through what he was going through, he picked up the phone. They were like, well, why didn't you tell us? Like you said, Mark, it was a matter of a couple of phone calls, and he had what he needed in order to be able to do what he, to be able to get out of his situation that he was in. But our relationships are they can be resources, and when you conduct yourself as you were saying, Mark, where you're you have conducting yourself with integrity, and you are genuine, as Shannon was saying, and you're genuine in who you are, and you have people around you that are genuine. It's nothing more than a phone call. It's nothing more than a text. Hey, I get, like you just said about Sandra. She and I have known each other for a number of years now, and I was her story blew me away. First of all,
come on now, get us crying
about
her
story. Now. I know, don't know her story, y'all. Whoo! But to have someone like that thinks enough of you, because we're not in constant contact, but she's like, hey, reach out to him. I've told Mark, and like I said, it's a phone call. Hey, Mark's looking for this. Connect with him. Okay, all right, boom. And here's the thing: the relationship is so strong between you and her, and me and her, that all it was is we didn't even have to think about it, because we knew the integrity that she conducted herself with. So it was like, hey, dude, this is a no-brainer and everything like that. So when you operate like that, it can be, it should be where it is, where you're doing things because you want to make people, at the end of the day, like I said, making people better. It's about making people better, and we make people better by doing those things.
What you said, Doc, I had to laugh because I watch this show. Like, this is a Survivor type show, and it has Ray Lewis on it. I haven't watched it. Ray Lewis is on it, and then Mike Singletary's on it, right?
Oh,
and
man.
So, so talk about two motivating types, right? Yeah. And Bootsy, you saw the clip that I put. You saw the clip that I put out there, Bootsy.
Yes.
And so, you got Ray Lewis, who's the ultimate motivator, but then you got Mike Singletary, who's also right. And so Doc, on the show, Ray, it's like a Survivor type show. He was getting ready to quit because, as a retired athlete who spent all that time away from his family, he was missing his family, and he felt like it was kind of almost unfair that I'm on this show taking time away from my family. I think one of his sons was playing football or whatever. But then he's getting ready to quit. But then Mike Singletary's like, basically, you came here to win, and so he was like, okay, and so Ray Lewis, who never quits, was about to quit, but then he trusted the senior Mike Singletary to say, okay, I'll stay. And I just said all that to say, like you perfectly said about relationships. And when I know Bootsy's not going to send me some BS, so of course I don't have to vet it at all. Bootsy says, hey, Mark, I think this would be a good person. Hey, Mark, I think you should call this person. Mark, can you do this? It's a yes. It's going to always be a yes. It's never going to be a, but then like you said, but that's all built on that person's character and how that person has treated you and how that person treats others. Because that's something, Doc, that I learned, that some people treat you great, but they see other people crappy. And sometimes I've been tricked I've been tricked by that. Because some people they treat you lovely, but the other people, they just, whatever reason, they don't. And so and so Doc, I can't keep you all day, but how can people reach you? Is there anything you need to promote or market that's coming down that people can either buy tickets to or attend? And just how can we, we'll have you on the show from time to time, but give us your final thoughts on the state of wealth in America. We'll have to have you back and talk about, we're personal today, but talk more about finances.
Well, as far as wealth in America, and this being Wealth Wednesday, I'll say this: is you have to. My mantra for this year is it's building season. What are you building in 2022? And the way, are you building wealth for just today, or are you building wealth for the future? It's about legacy building. It's about wealth building. Having those systems, putting those things in place that will allow you to not only have wealth today, but to have, as the Bible says, to have it for your children's children. That means your grandchildren, your great grandchildren. That's what we as a community need to be about, building wealth for our children's children, so that as we transition out, as we move into the elders and older generation, we have something that we leave not for our children, but in our children, that we leave in them, so that they can then take the mantle and move further, because it's every generation's responsibility to make it better for the next generation. So that's what we're doing. That's true wealth right there. Making it better for the next generation, and then the next generation. So that's what we're doing. What are you building in 2022? That's what I say to people. My goal is to always to make you better by the end of the year than you were at the beginning of the year. And I do that hopefully by the books that I have, by the authors that I publish, by the businesses that I'm assisting in helping to build. All of those things said that all of us can begin to do all of those things and create wealth, build wealth, and have wealth in our communities. And it's there. The wealth is there, y'all. And my mentor, he says this. He said, there's not a wealth gap. There's an information gap. So what information are you gaining? Are you getting, so that you can close that gap, so that you can have to be a part of the gap that's there? And when you have the information, you then obtain the wealth. So I'll leave you with that. And you can, if you want to connect with me, I'm on social media. Facebook, it's JNF Enterprises, or my name, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. On Instagram, Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. YouTube, JNF Enterprises, Instagram, Dr. LJ Speaks, my email, website, www.jnfenterprises. Pretty much everything is JNF Enterprises. I try to make it easy. That way it's not difficult to pull me up or difficult to find. You can do that and have it. All of those things. So Mark, I appreciate you and Brother Bootsy. This has been great. I appreciate you all having this conversation. I love having conversations, that talk about making us better. So I appreciate y'all having me on the show. This has been great.
You're amazing.
And that documentary,
you are amazing.
I didn't get a chance to talk about that Magic Johnson documentary because I was saying more. I call him Irvin. Magic was the ball player.
Right.
He is now Irving Johnson.
Go ahead. Go ahead. Give. I want to miss it. Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say that what that documentary was. I mean, it was really great. And I'm a Magic Johnson fan. I've been 1979. This young 10-year-old boy watching him and Larry Bird go at it in the NCAA championship, watching that game, loving it, seeing him go into the NBA. He's the second greatest greatest basketball player. Kareem is number one.
My man, speak on it. Speak on it, Doc. 11 championships.
Yeah,
speak on it.
And it's not. And I'm not just talking NBA. I'm talking high school, college, and NBA. Best basketball player ever.
Facts.
But what Irving has done on the court, he's even a better businessman than he was a basketball player. I'll let y'all sit with that. That is what he's done. And what you were talking about creating, he surrounded himself with individuals that could pour into him, and he wasn't afraid to say, I don't know.
Right.
I don't know. And I want to get the knowledge. He was hungry for the knowledge. Dr. Buss brought him in, treated him like a son, taught him the business of basketball. And then he took that and has now grown it into what he's grown it into. So it was just absolutely phenomenal to watch that documentary. And I'm gonna give you two other ones to watch. King Richard with the Serena Williams.
The movie.
Yeah, but not just a movie, but this man, Richard Williams was a great businessman. If you look at it from a business perspective, this man, he had his whole daughters, two of them, their whole lives planned out.
Yes.
It wasn't just like he was just, they found the talent. He planned for them to be Venus and Serena, who they are to this day.
And the movie too. And the movie.
Right. And was not, did not divert from it, was not going to let anybody push him away from it. This is what my daughters are going to do. This is what they're going to be. And that was just them two. The other daughters, which nobody talks about, are successful in their own right too, raising the kids that they raised. Nobody talks about that. So that's the second one. And then The Founder. I don't know if y'all have watched that or not. The story about McDonald's. So
haven't watched that one.
Check Mark. I'm telling you, it's the story of Ray Kroc. For those that don't know, it's the story of Ray Kroc. He's pitted as the creator of McDonald's, but he isn't. The McDonald's name is two brothers.
Yeah.
It's two brothers that started McDonald's.
Okay. Are you talking about the movie with Michael Keaton?
Yes. The Founder. Yeah.
My friend who has beverage company, Delicious Beverage. He always quote. I've seen it. A couple times. He always quotes that movie. That motivated him so much, man. It's the back of his mind all the time.
Yeah, every entrepreneur must watch that movie because it teaches you about business, what to do, what not to do, how to protect yourself, all of those things that are in it. So those are things that, that if we're going to gain wealth, you got to have the knowledge first.
Dr. McKenzie, you said something, Bootsy, I got sucked in, but I got sucked into a social media thing on Instagram. Because like Dr. McKenzie started this conversation about, when you start having a philosophy and when you have a philosophy and you have goals and you're moving in a certain space, when you see the BS starts to irritate you. When you're not, it doesn't really bother you. So for a long time, it didn't bother me. You know, now when I'm listening to morning shows, I'm listening to shows, and it's the same. I heard a tease today. It was like, you know, coming up in the tea, whatever the whatever the entertainment report was. It was basically promoting two fights. Somebody got their paws put on them, and somebody else that had a fight. So I was just like, y'all promoting. I'm gonna stick around to hear entertainment about some people that I love, artists fighting. Who does that? So same thing. I was on Instagram and Earthquake posted something. If someone asked a question, something like, it was like, what is a woman? Basically, what always happens is almost like the conversation about marriage, how basically marriage don't work or marriage ain't. Yeah. Basically, what's the use? It was like something like that. Like, what does a woman get out of, you know, dating versus, you know, marriage, whatever. And I just posted, I took the high ground, but I wanted to educate. And I said, like you said, Dr. McKenzie, and again, I was the first, I learned this. I've learned this in my life. I didn't know it. I was raised by a single mom. I mean, I knew about marriage and stuff, but I didn't understand all that goes with marriage and what it's really about. And what it's really about is legacy and building wealth, right? And quality of life for your family. And so I said something to the effect of, it's a commitment to roll until the wheels fall off. And in our case, the trust and the whole life insurance, everything's signed. So the plan is already there. We know exactly what's going to happen with our assets and what's going to happen when we're not here anymore. And so that's the difference between dating somebody and when you're in a marriage, right? And so we're not, and even in that last part, I look at, you know, and Bootsy knows this, my mother's life, where she spent her whole life trying to buy this house that she paid for, she was so proud of, and it sits in Springfield with a tree sitting on top of it, and she had no will, and, you know, gave my cousin the keys, and he was supposed to pay on it, and it didn't, versus Allison's parents, who I saw on social media. I asked a question about wills versus trusts. Guy reaches out to me. We were able to put their house in a trust, and now we have our own house in a trust, and it's everything's laid out, you know, and that's the difference. It's like that, like you said, McKenzie, information first. So that information allowed us to say, so it's not gonna, when we die, our house, it's not gonna happen like it happened for my mom, because it breaks my heart, you know, that just sitting there, you know, and that was her biggest thing. She had said, okay, I paid it off. Now you can sell it and pay for me to bear. You can bear me with the money you make. No. So anyway, but what you started with, information and wealth building and relationships and family, it all goes together, right? It all goes together. And hopefully our show is giving everybody what they need, Bootsy, to answer some of those questions. Because a lot of the questions, they never come up. It's like right. if you have a me and Allison are now skilled when it comes to it. Like when you get to be a certain age and you have a health issue, let me tell you something. Most of the insurances you have, it's a weird space. You may have good insurance, but that don't mean it's going to cover you if you need to be if you need special care, right, Doc? Or if you or if you need assistance or da. That can break you. That could take all your resources. A health situation can take you away from here. And you don't find this out until you're dealing with a parent or somebody who's sick or dying, because you think everything's good. Or some people, you never think about it. Right. So anyway, Doc, thank you again for your time. Bootsy, final words from you, my friend.
Yes, I just want to say thank you for all the jewels. What I am taking away today, Mr. The amazing Dr. Leroy McKenzie Jr. is relationships are resources. I will carry that with me as I move forward. Thank you, sir.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's been, like I said, it's been a pleasure. I enjoy talking about business, entrepreneurship, and us as a community, because you know, we are the only ones that can save us.
It's a fact.
If we're gonna get wealth, we've got to get it. Nobody else is gonna give it to us. My father taught me that years ago. Nobody owes you anything. Nobody's gonna give you anything. You want anything, you got to go get it. You got to earn it. You got to work for it. Period.
Last thing. As we leave, Dr. McKenzie, you also said that it's not a wealth gap. It is a information gap. Information is power. Relationships are resources. I'm taking that with me.
Absolutely.
Doc, we're gonna have next time we come on, we got to have you on as a speaker. A lot of people want to get into the speaking game. A lot of people don't know how to get started. We'll have you on so you can break it down for us, okay?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. That's done. That's done. Absolutely. Yep.
And if we wrap things up, don't forget Shannon is having a video shoot today in Baltimore at the Putty Hill Skate Land. And Shannon is the theme song for the show. And we'll wrap things up with the theme song from the show. Again, thanks to everybody for supporting. And please subscribe if you haven't.
Don't know, I don't know. I'm looking, yeah.
Marc Clarke, that's classic.